Welcome back to CoinDesk Live from Buenos Aires. We are at the Avalanche Summit, Avalanche's premier community event of 2024. We are now joined by Borderless Capital to discuss the $50 million LATAM Fund launched right here at this event yesterday. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Okay, $50 million. Yes. We got to talk about it. You launched it here yesterday for the LATAM region. Talk to us about who you're hoping to give the funds to.
So basically, Borderless has been in Web3, investing in Web3 through 6 different funds, global funds, since 2018. We have over 300 companies in our portfolio, several $100 million under management, and we have some connections with the region because some of the partners are from Argentina. And we've seen that we built a portfolio, a really strong portfolio of LATAM companies without even being actively looking. And so after a few months of analysis and research and looking at what's going on this year, especially after Crecimiento Aleph earlier this year, we realized that this is the region where we want to launch our first regional fund. And we're super excited. We want to basically identify those incredible projects that are coming out of the region but can have global potential, because we are in a place where you see specific use cases that you don't see anywhere else. After the financial inclusion themes, economic crisis, we're used to using blockchain as a way of living, and we believe that that's gonna be incredibly impactful in the next cycle at a global level. So we're looking after those type of projects that can build on top of global blockchains and global platforms, and also we look at global projects that see Latin America as a place to deploy their solutions and explore and do some pilots because of the incredible adoption levels of the region.
And from the foundation perspective, we've had a lot of conversations with Borderless, and as we were approaching the partnership, this kind of came naturally. As you see, we came to Summit here in Buenos Aires, and we are doubling down in the region, and this came like a very natural next step towards the space, no? And bringing Avalanche closer to this community that I think it's highly needed, and there's also a very unique opportunity within the region. This is a highly educated, technically capable region that has a lot of fractured financial systems, and Web3 directly solves that. And us, as tokenization of the world's assets is our mission, this was just very natural fit, and was very excited, about this partnership and investing in this fund as an anchor investor.
Yeah, and for us, we have, of course, conversations with a lot of players that are interested in the region, and Avalanche was, they were ready. They said, okay, this is what we need to build. They, of course, are anchor investors on the fund, so we're super excited about that. And we all believe that the LATAM ecosystem in Web3 has the next cycle an incredible opportunity to become a global.
We've had the opportunity to learn a lot about the Argentina crypto scene. Shout out some other countries in the region where you're seeing a lot of interesting activity. It's not just Argentina. Argentina has its unique opportunities, unique challenges. Is it Brazil? Is it Mexico? Where are you seeing other activity pop up?
As Matias said, the tokenization of the real world or the traditional world is a really important thing for us. Brazil is at the forefront globally. Not only the government, the state has a mandate to be the first large economy in the world to be fully tokenized. And you can see that in regulation, you can see that in the sandboxes that have been created, and you start to see it in really interesting projects going in that direction. So for us, that's a clear, interesting market. And then, of course, the usual suspects, Mexico, the closeness with the US, the whole remittance corridor that has a lot of opportunities, payments, etc. Those are big economies that, as in Argentina, lack sometimes a lot of traditional infrastructure, and you start to see, some projects that are born there that have global potential. For us, it's not just looking at local things. Of course, each of the markets, especially Brazil and Mexico, can support large companies that are only operating locally. We are interested in going global. And for us, as Borderless, being a global investor and having the connections at the global level, we believe that we can kind of help them bridge that gap.
It's in the name. There's no borders.
There is.
It's in the name.
And you know what? I was talking to someone yesterday, And we came up with the name with the idea of like borderless in terms of frontiers. For us, it's also borderless in terms of blockchain platforms. So we believe that the future is borderless also. And Avalanche, you know, we had a conversation with them, and even the design of Avalanche is like it's multi-chain. We need to go into that direction. People need to be like flowing.
Tell us more about the innovation you're seeing in the region. We've talked a lot over the last day and a half about stablecoins here at this desk, but I imagine that there is innovation happening in many different areas of Web3. Talk to us a little bit about what is exciting you.
So we see a few themes. There's a lot of going on around payments and remittances, which is related to stablecoins. We really like tokenization. There are a couple of companies we invested in with previous funds that are tokenizing real-world assets. There's a company called AgroToken, which is tokenizing the soybean, and then with that, now they're moving to tokenize other commodities. And the interesting thing about that is that it unlocks credit for the whole value chain. So for the first time, by tokenizing assets, the producer can access to credit provided by whoever does the export piece of that. And that's very unique. There's another company that is tokenizing airline tickets. And this is a global thing, right? And most of their clients are not in Latin America, but they are from Argentina. So those themes, those unique themes are starting to bubble up. You know, we are looking at the convergence of AI and Web3. That's something we are still trying to figure out how it's going to work. But clearly, you know, we probably heard a lot about
I think
this
many
idea.
people are trying to figure it out.
This idea of bots talking to each other and sending crypto. You know, we'll see how it works. But
I like it.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about sort of the threading the needle between regionalism in a global technology, right? I think it's really interesting to see how Avalanche is playing that. You know, this is a borderless technology, peer-to-peer electronic cash, no
Right.
borders. It's the original vision. But within it, you have these regions that exist in the real world that have different strengths, weaknesses. I think you guys have an interesting approach to sort of identifying regional value in a global tech stack. Talk to me about how you're viewing that in Latin America, and then obviously beyond across
Sure.
the rest of the team.
I think that so it is true. The technology is global by construction, and that actually makes the regional play a lot more interesting, because each region, like you mentioned, has its strengths and its weaknesses, and it's all a reflection of the internal struggles within the region. So in Argentina, it's going to be hyperinflation. It's going to be, you know, a fractured financial system. If you go to Ghana, perhaps it's different problems. In Asia, it's going to be different. And so it's a bet on the talent, really. But ultimately, they're going to be producing global solutions. So each talent, given the, you know, the problems that they're trying to solve, they will be also solving the problem all the way to Asia. But that's the problem that they see closest to their heart. And that's a bit the way that we're thinking about it. And that's why this LATAM Fund is a bet on the talent of the region that we know certainly is going to be a global player as it goes forward.
Yeah, my knowledge of the VC scene is a little dated, so I just want to throw this to you. Do you see more regional funds popping up where there is a specific regional focus, or is that still more of a niche play within the world of crypto VC?
I think, you know, to be honest, I think that we're in a very unique position because we're playing both things. We have other funds that are themed around like specific verticals within Web3. We have a deep-in fund, which, you know, so we know the global markets, but we have very strong local connections. It's not easy to replicate, and also the market is not as big to have like, you know, 10 different Web3 VC funds operating locally in the region. We are friends with all the local non-crypto VCs that are doing like marginal VC investments in the space, and they look at us as the experts, right? And I think that you know, the same thing happens when we talk to other investors outside of the region, and we talk to some entrepreneurs that say, hey, you know, I know the X investor in the US, they are super strong, they like what we do, we're just too far. And so being a local player allows us to somehow be the right partners for all these people to deploy the initial capital. And then we, you know, it's a signaling, right? Here's a team that can go global. Let's help them go there.
You mentioned the regulatory sandbox piece, and I think I want to go back to that because it is interesting, right? It enables all these experiments to potentially thrive. Yeah. Some sandboxes exist, some may exist soon. Do you get involved in trying to push for that regulatory safe zone, or you just sort of let that play out and then act? How does that work?
We are part of the community, and we want this ecosystem to grow. So definitely, as long as we start getting more involved, we are going to be more involved in those conversations. But the other thing that, especially for example in Argentina grew as one of the leaders in adoption without any regulation. It's just like a need. It's coming from the roots, you know. And I think that in Latin America you see a lot of that. There's really the real reason why blockchain technology thrives in this region is because everything else doesn't work. And, and sometimes it's what you need. And I think that that's also important for global projects to understand that the region can be an incredible place to deploy their technologies and learn how the use cases apply to real people. And,
Ariel,
yeah.
Matias, I'm so sorry. We got to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the day.